Hello everybody, we're going to be doing an Azure Virtual Desktop Lab. This is going to be an overview video of the Bicep code and how to deploy it. It's going to be everything from the resource group over to the host pool, application group, workspace, and VM. Initially I had separated these, but there is an issue with the virtual machine module that it is not accepting my AVD agent. So I've went ahead and refactored it to include uh, the extension for AED login and the session host with a specific configuration or artifact URL. So welcome to use this one, or if you can get the virtual machine um, separated and use the different extensions together, you can do it that way. Right now they're all together and they will include the host pool token, which is one of the outputs. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and deploy this. I'm going to go ahead and set it up for West US 3. I'm using VS Code. I like the interface. You're welcome to use Azure, the AZ CLI. And then we have the output. Now there is one thing that I'm missing, which is you need to get the object ID of a user that you have created. Now, since this is a lab, I don't want to pay for a license. So when you created a user, I've named this one AVD test. I've copied this object ID, and in the parameters, we will see that it is this principal ID here, and under the permissions, it is set to user principal type. So this will grab it and then set you up with everything you need for permissions on Azure. Now, when you sign in, as I mentioned, I don't want to use a license. So when we sign in, we will sign in using the created user account, which is this one here, AVD test. And then I'm going to go and put in my password. And we do not want multi-factor authentication. The reason for that is because virtual machines do not have supported MFA on Entra ID VMs unless you disable it for the VM, and there's like conditional access, which I don't have a license for. So go ahead and click ask me later when you go ahead and set that up. So we see here that we have the session desktop from a previous deployment. We're going to go and wait for that to finish up. Go to Azure Labs, deployments, and my permissions failed because they already exist from a previous deployment. Yours will show otherwise. And here's the different permissions that you'll see on the scope of your role assignment deployments. There's going to be 3 of them. We can take a look while the VM is deploying. It will be under Azure Virtual Desktop permissions, and you see here that I've put it at the scope of the subscription ID, and I've given that user a VM role ID. You can use you can put it at the scope of a resource group if you'd like. That will make it more modular, but just for simplicity's sake, I've put it at the subscription level. And then These are built-in roles and they have their own GUID. So this one is virtual machine user login, desktop virtualization, and virtual machine administrator login. Go ahead and change this if you need to. We can even do a boolean if we need to, so that um, you, if you want to lab up permissions on a outside of this, and then kind of make this more modular so that you can remove that administrator log on let's say on a production scope, so that not every user you're deploying has that virtual machine. And that's also why I've done the principal type. I can put allowed types, which is user and group, and you can use that GUID here for a specific group so that you can put the scope of the permissions at the group level rather than a specific user. Now we can go back here and see how we're looking. Now going back to the VM module, there are certain things that you can do um, as far as extensions go. This one creates the NIC, the virtual machine. There are some cleanups I need to do that I've borrowed from a portal deployment, and I've just exported the template and repurposed it for myself. As you can see, the resource name, I need to remove that. And this has the DSC extension, which is, this will be the AVD agent. So I can go ahead and rename that AVD agent. And then we can call this custom script extension. And let's camel case this. And we can call this guest attestation. And then camel case this. And then we can call this the virtual machine. And let's clear up all the red stuff anywhere we see it. AVD agent. And then we're gonna look for this and then replace it. And we should look good after this. Save, and I'll push it up so everybody has that in their repo. Now in your parameter values, these are the defaults. I've went ahead and so here are some defaults that you can use that are going to be showing up in the values. Here's the admin password. You can use this eventually in the future. I'm going to change this to retrieve from a key vault. The OS version is a Windows 10 with this version -AVD, and then the VM size is standard v4ms. The VM name, and then you can name this however you like. And then there's some defaults in here. So you can change this to a different one as long as the AVD agent works for you. And then these will be publisher is Microsoft Windows Desktop, and the offer is Windows 10. Okay, so we're going to go back to the deployment and see how we're looking over here. It does look like it completed. This is something that was resource group. Go to main. And it does look like it completed except for the permissions that I mentioned. So now we go over to the host pool. And we see that it's under this VM name. One caveat is I have noticed that if you redeploy under the same name, you get an issue with a domain trust issue. These are Azure AD joined machines, but that seems to come up whenever you redeploy under the same name. So go ahead and change that up, and should work for you. So now, last but not least, we're going to sign in under incognito to make things easier. You're going to head over to client.wvd.microsoft.com/arm/web-client/index.html. And that's the global URL to go ahead and sign into Azure Virtual Desktop. And now we are going to copy our username again. And everything should be set up from those permissions that I mentioned earlier. So now we grab the username because I forget the .onmicrosoft.com portion of it. And then of course my password. It's fine, you guys saw it. It's just a temporary password anyway. You guys can steal that. Stay signed in. And once again, do not set up MFA, otherwise you'll be locked out. Alright, now we're getting a login screen. That's typically a good sign. Go ahead and hit submit. And this is just a Windows 10 machine, so with Edge and a few other things installed. You could use a server machine, but for this example, we're using a Windows 10 machine. And then you see here we have internet access. Head over to one of your favorite sites. And it is June. Alright, hope this was informative for you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you guys have any comment suggestions on this video or the GitHub repo. Go ahead and check us out over there. You can see that in the description. Thank you.